Hello, everyone. Oh,
Let's do that again.
go ahead.
Double
Hello,
hellos.
everyone. Great to be here. We are back from our summer vacation, and can you tell we haven't got it all lined up yet? We're still on vacation. But it's great to be here, and the message that we are talking about today, I am so excited. The science of getting rich. And I will be rich, okay? So, I'm Joanna White, a spiritual holistic teacher that loves everything mystical. So we will be talking about the science, the mystic of getting rich today. And I'm going to pass it to my favorite sister, Carol, that I rudely interrupt. I'm sorry. Carol?
Okay. Hi, I'm Carol Pilkington, and I'm a spiritual teacher and counselor. And I work with high anxiety, depressed people to help them move through it so that they can live with joy, peace, and a deeper meaning and more presence. Kathy.
Hi, I'm Kathy Basel, one of the mystic mavens here. Hello, hello. I am in beautiful Denver, Colorado, and I'm a transformational life coach and energy healer, helping women to heal some of the old past that maybe holds us back from stepping into the true beautiful life that you're being called towards. So with that, so excited to introduce Claudia and this beautiful topic for tonight. Take it away, my friend.
Thank you, Kathy. And it is such a pleasure to be back, to be here with all of you ladies, and to be here with you watching us. I'm Claudia Rocafort. I am the fourth Mystic Maven, and I am a life coach, a business coach, and a spiritual facilitator. And I've spent 35 years of my life working on self-growth, that now I love to use all these tools to be able to support my clients and to make sure that people can clear whatever's in the way that's blocking them from achieving what they love and what they want to achieve in their lives. And one of these things that I found so powerful is this little book called The Science of Getting Rich. And this was written by, sorry?
No, go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
I was just viewing you up.
Oh, thank you. So the science of getting rich, right? That sounds pretty interesting. Now, if there was a formula, a method, a science by which we could all amass wealth, now, wouldn't you want in on that, right? Oh. So let's talk a little bit about this book briefly before we jump right in. And this book was written by Waddles back in 1910. I mean, over a century ago. These principles were already kind of mainstream. So why is it that people haven't used them? This all comes actually from a book that you've heard me talk about before that I absolutely love called The Kabbalion, which is a book that was written about 5,500 years ago by the Master of Masters, an Egyptian scribe and teacher who was Hermes Trismegistus. Now, what he talks about are the 7 principles under which the universe, or the laws under which we work. Now, if we understand these laws and how to use them, right, then everything else becomes a lot easier. Now, different people have written about them in different ways, one of which you probably heard is the law of attraction and The Secret. Now, Waddles grabbed 3 of the laws and brought them into this book called The Science of Getting Rich. And the first and most important thing that he talks about is going to be this little paragraph that I'm going to read to you. And he says, there is a thinking stuff from which all things are made, and which in its original state permeates and penetrates and fills the interspaces of the universe. Now, if you create a thought in this substance, it produces the thing that is imagined by the thought. A person can form things in his thought, and by impressing his thought upon formless substance, he can cause the thing that he thinks about to be created. Now, that's pretty amazing. So this is kind of like the law of attraction, right? If I can think of something and I picture it, it will become manifest. I will attract it to me. But it's a little more complex than that. So what is this thinking stuff? What do you ladies think of this paragraph, and how do you interpret it?
Well, for me, it reminds me of truly tapping in to what I would say is the law of our own being.
Mhm.
That calling, that seed that is within us that needs to be nurtured and visioned and really cultivated. And it is about the intention. It speaks to intention of fulfilling our purpose here. It's not about what we do in the world, although it includes it, but it's more about fulfilling our true purpose as beings in a larger scene.
Love that. Yes. And the seed, right? We can't plant a seed and have it not bear fruit of what it is that we planted. And I love that metaphor, because if we envision this riches and we plant that seed, it will come to us. It will bear fruit one way or another. There's a few more steps that we need to put into it, but yes. And that fulfillment of who we are is beautiful. Thank you, Carol. Kathy, I'm sorry. I think you were going to jump right in and I got carried away.
Yeah, no, it's an exciting topic. And just like you, Carol, I love to think of ourselves as part of an ever-evolving universe. And I think that where we get ourselves stuck is when we think that we're the ones doing it. So I love the image of this, the thinking stuff, because it's like the thinking stuff is all that is. And I love how it says that it permeates all the cells. Like every breath is infusing this. It's like a universal life presence. It's available to us. And if we could remember to plug into that concept, throughout the day, and recognizing that it's not only us making things happen, but it's the impulse of the universe working through and as us that allows us, and how lucky we are to have that gift of intention to kind of shift it in our own beautiful path. It's like the river down the passage down the river that we get to. The river is flowing. We get to have some choice in which way we turn to experience that river, but that we are lifted by the power of that water moving. It's not just us. So if we can plug into that and allow it to take us away, it's like it breathes space into that angst. I think when we're the ones, I think we get it's almost like your panties in a wad kind of a thing. We're trying to make it all happen. It's only us. It's all, what am I doing wrong? This judgment is like, no. Allow.
Allowing. That's the topic of the month for me. Is allowing. And then the allowing is usually to set us on the path of what we're actually asking for. And what I realize is being clear on what you really want is, like we say, the thinking stuff is us. What are we thinking? That thinking stuff, like you said, it runs to us, through us, and back out again. So it's all of who we are. And it's just aligning and then allowing it, that allowing. And I think everybody here said that, because it's sometimes allowing the riches to come in. I know something I would do. People will ask you, do you need this? No, I'm good. Yeah, but they're sending it your way. So how do you allow when you're giving it back or you don't receive it? The only how you can receive is through someone else. So when we start telling people, no, I'm okay. No, I don't need it. I got it. We're not allowing. And I realized that about myself. That was a huge lesson of learning while doing this book as well.
Love
Just,
that.
yes, allow. And allowing is sometimes being vulnerable.
Very much so. And there's a beautiful saying. I think you ladies all know Bridge Smith Lyons. She works this program called Essence of Being, and I love her. She's been one of the teachers that I've been studying with for many years. And She says, trust and allow and don't ask how. And to me, that's part of this beautiful journey of, I may not know how it's going to happen, but if I can visualize it and I can put it into the thinking substance of the universe, and I trust and believe in it with absolute faith, which is one of the steps, and allowing is another of the steps. We'll get to those. But what happens then is I don't need to know how. Source, this thinking stuff, this intelligent, what I call source, right? I like to think of it as source. Before material things occur, or in between the spaces of even the material, if you think about it, the nucleus and the membrane of a cell are tiny compared to the amount of space in between the two. Same thing with atoms and ions, and we don't see it. We see a rock and it's stationary, but there's so much more space between the actual structure that creates mass and creates material reality. That's the thinking stuff. That's that intelligent source. It's everywhere. It's all around us. It's all that is. Everything that we see manifest is made from it. And then the Kabbalion, they talk about a thinking universe, God, source, whatever we want to call this life force, is an intelligent life force that is there to support us and is part of how we've come manifest. So we have that ability, that thinking stuff is us. It's part of us. It's in us. It's all around us. Now, if we can stop and think and consider that for a moment, that is so powerful. Because we don't have to look elsewhere. We just need to sit and surrender and allow and trust that it is in us, around us, throughout us. And so I'm going to move on to the next little bit of this, because I love what everybody shared. And this is, I get so inspired by you ladies.
I know. It just makes me smile listening to you talk about it. It's like, it's kind of like the universal breath of life. It's like, it's refreshing.
I get very excited about this stuff, as you can see. Just because the magnitude of this truth is so beautiful and so powerful. When we get this, everything changes. Everything else, the little things that bug us, the things that we struggle with, all of it shifts. And so that's why I think this is so powerful, because it doesn't just apply to wealth. It applies to love. It applies to abundance. It applies to health. It applies to family. It applies to planting a new seed and changing paths and pivoting and finding a new sense of purpose and meaning in our lives. I mean, the way that we can apply this is limitless, right? So the next piece of this, Waddles talks about the way that we can actually make this come true and achieve it is that we need to switch from the competitive mind to the creative mind. Now, otherwise, we cannot be in harmony with the formless intelligence, which is always creative and never competitive in spirit. Now, for me, what that kind of means is if we can acknowledge that we all come from source, we all come from the same thinking stuff, we're just manifesting in infinite million different ways, we're all connected. That same thinking stuff that wants you to be rich wants everybody else and everything else to manifest in its ultimate, abundant, lavish, beautiful ways. And there's enough for all. There is no limitation of what we can imagine and can create. So if we can pass from you versus me to you and me, then we are aligned with the understanding and the truth that it is all there to support us.
One of the things that I heard the other day, I forgot what I was listening to at the time, and it was a major energy shift for me, was do you ask for oxygen? Then you shouldn't be asking for money. It's the same. And I had to grasp that. So it's like we put the energy around things, And we don't get up and say, I hope I have more oxygen today, or let me just take in this amount of oxygen for the day so I could save some for later. And we do that with money. So it's having that shift around our own conversation and thought process, is that we feel like it's something that's of scarce. And it's not. We've created that thought process through what, and this is the mystical side of it, is going into that creative mind, that visual mind, that intentional mind that sets it all up for you.
Mhm.
We stay in that lack mind when we think that that person has more than me, or this person, that's a lack mindset. So staying in that creative thought process of there's more than enough. There is more than enough. Why would I even think there's not enough? That's the truth of who we are. There's more than enough, just like oxygen.
Yeah, what you were alluding to for me out of that, Joanna, is that the moment that we go into comparison mode, we lose our ability to create completely, because then we are considering what they think, what we think about what they think.
That's
and
right.
our yeah, our creativity is down the tubes. So in order to stay in creativity, we have to not consider outside people or outside sources as being the authority. Goes back to what I've talked about before with regards to being our own authority and creating for the sake of creating, for our own sense of purpose, our own sense of necessity and fulfillment, so that and if others come along, then great, and if they don't, then they're not meant to be with us.
Mhm. And even just out of desire, more than need, because need can also entail lack. But
Well,
desire,
let me clarify.
please, of course.
When I talk about need, I'm not talking about the duality of it. I'm
Okay.
talking about the calling, to
Right.
fulfill the
Love.
calling.
Yes.
Right.
Thank you, Carol. That's a beautiful clarification.
Yeah.
Kathy, anything that you'd like to share about this part of it?
Oh, the whole conversation just makes me smile from ear to ear, because I just believe when we are owning what powerful creators we are, and it's something we need to remind ourselves of constantly. I talk sometimes in terms of like the divine feminine, and when we talk about, instead of that competitive part, this feminine energy is inviting us all to come in, and some of the wonderful themes I just want to highlight, because there's already in this conversation been so many, of switching from that competitive area. So anytime that we're feeling individual lack, it's like, what can we do to outcreate the current circumstances or the current thinking? All too often, it's really just our own perception of what is going on. And it's just a shift. So just if we can get to that point where we can identify where that thought spark is that we are the limiters of, let that go and surrender, allow again that universal flow. But I also want to circle back, I think it might have been you, Claudia, who said it, but that universal. And I think the masculine, again, we've been kind of in this power thing. It's kind of like a power over, and the feminine approach is almost that, like that power together. And I love, instead of the duality of it either or, like I can do this or have that. And I think, the people who are likely listening to this conversation with us, you're the change makers of the world. We need that universal. And we need to stand up and say, I get to do my good work and have riches. I can have money, I can have abundance, I can have more than enough money than I ever thought possible, because I know I do great things with my with my money. Yeah. And just think of what an unstoppable force you would be. I just want to give you permission to want the money, big money, because you'll do big good with the money. So I love the conversation, how it comes back to riches. Riches, you know, that word entailing the flow of money, it includes so much abundance in other ways. But I think I just want to make sure, you know, wake up healers, it's time for us to receive money as part of the riches. I think a lot of times we allow that, we'll settle for a mindset that says, but I'm rich in, you know, places I live and friendship and all these other niceties, but it's like, yeah, let's include money too. So it's the same kind of thing. We get to receive it.
Like Joanna was saying, I mean, we don't stop to think, how much oxygen are we willing to take today, right? If we look at money, this is interesting because you mentioned something so powerful. It's the perception that we have of any of these things, whether it's money or limiting beliefs, or the perception we have of lack, or the perception that we have that the universe is not abundant for all, right? I mean, visually, we see poverty all around us, right? My teacher, Rayleigh, used to always say, Claudia, that's the illusion. If you remember the truth, right? The illusion is very, very powerful. We've even felt it. It does not feel like an illusion at all, right? It can be very tangibly painful. Now, if we can surpass the illusion of that reality or the perception of that reality for a moment and say, wait, but the true nature of us is infinite, is abundant, is lavish, and that includes everything, includes money. Right?
It's love. So if we're having an issue in a relationship,
love.
We're love. Yeah.
I always say, you will manifest in the measure in which you are willing to love yourself. And to me, that was always mind blowing. It was like, oh, great. Okay. And it's all on me. I get to be responsible for how much I've limited or how much I'm willing to trust that no matter what the appearance is, that thinking stuff that permeates through me is all around me, wants me to be a full expression of it in its most grandiose possibility.
And we hold it back.
I like to think, you know, that there's angels up there and they're not, you know, they have to wait for us to invite them to participate. But like some of these entities, maybe they've never had a chance to be embodied, and so we are kind of like their sniffers and their eyes, and they're saying like, go for the lavish, you know, go for the big cake, go for the, you know, the big love, you know, take the risk, make the jump. It's like the universe wants to express big through us, so it's only us. And you know, so much of the thinking has just been kind of pinched off because of the collective. We've been sailing along with collective thought speak, you know, that says some of this lack kind of conversation that we tend to have, like, I'm not enough, or I can only take this much, or I can do good work but not have much. It's like, no, it's time for us to break those old thought speaks and be the leaders for other people, so that we've got this collective of other people who are change makers and light workers that are here to do that good and, you know, spread this kind of a message. Can you imagine if we all allowed ourselves to begin to receive the good that is basically hanging out there waiting for us to say, come on in? You know,
Infinite abundance. I love that idea. Infinite abundance in whatever we need, in whatever we desire, not need from that place of lack, but yes, whatever that soul purpose, as Carol kind of was, you know, in that being on purpose. Rayleigh used to call it your heart's desire. And I love that alignment of it, because it's true. We're here, we're like seeds ourselves that are just waiting to manifest and bear fruit. And the question is, you know, what's that fruit going to look like? What do we want to create? What do we desire? And it's a beautiful possibility to let go of all these limiting beliefs. And like Kathy said, as service workers, as healers, as spiritual workers, we were in some ways, a collective thought was, we'll just take enough. As long, I believe that the universe will provide enough. And I want to change that story for myself, at least. For me, this was the big aha of, wait a second, no. It is lavish, abundant, infinite love and abundance and energy, willing and looking to reveal itself through you, to express the magnanimousness of the universe.
Oh, I like that word. Magnanimous. Say that one again.
Magnanimousness. I don't know if I just made that up. Magnanimous is a word, but magnanimousness might be just, my.
I like it.
We need bigger words to capture what's available,
I mean, for me, it's like I get so excited because really this understanding that God, source, the universe wants to be lavish through us, that the only way it can express itself is through us and wants us to have unlimited possibilities. That to me was like, mic drop moment, mind blowing emoji. So
I what I've been realizing is, the self-awareness part of it is my mind really hadn't been expanded to that level. So like we say we want to be rich and we say we want to do this and honestly, there's things that I had just never even thought of. And like yesterday was a mind-blowing day for me. It was a wonderful, wonderful day. I was invited to do massaging for the crew of Aerosmith and these famous rock bands. And I didn't even know who these people are. You know what I mean? I don't know. But it was the experience and they gave me front row tickets to the concert, 17,000 people. I'm backstage all day working and I'm like, but to see my mind expanded on a whole nother level, like seeing them driven, like just being on the loading dock with all the truck, it was amazing, but I never expanded my mind to maybe going on tour with a band and being their therapist and just to have my vision like put there. I was like, oh, that might be. So sometimes we really don't know the direction of where we're going or what we're doing. But I honestly, like last night, I just kept saying, thank you for expanding me to this.
On that note, I want to add the next step because this is powerful, powerful, powerful. What you just said, thank you. Gratitude is the next step. Gratitude is the part that unifies the mind of man with the divine intelligence, with the intelligence of substance, so that our thoughts are received by the formless. That space of gratitude, that realization, that awareness, that even being grateful for the little things, the big things, all of it, these new opportunities that even blow our minds into new possibilities we never even imagined. The little things, I don't know about you ladies, but every time I can't find a parking spot, I'm like, okay, angels, I need your help. And boom, somebody starts backing up. And I'm like, thank you. That gratitude is how we get aligned with that source mind. And that's the next step in how do we start manifesting these things. So I'd love for you ladies to talk about, is there anything there that has appeared for you or that you asked of the formless stuff that manifested quickly or took a while to manifest, but you maintained that grateful space that you saw made it happen?
Well, actually, I'd like to hop in because I think one of the important things about gratitude too is to be able to give gratitude for the thing that you're asking for, even before the receiving of it. Because when we trust so deeply that this is like the desire is like of the Father kind of a thing. It's like this dream is even a shared dream. It's not just our dream, and knowing, being able to be grateful, like, this is where I'm headed and I know everything I require will be given to me. I don't know how, exactly. I think I might have an outline of some of the things, of resources, the happenings that need to come into play for this to happen. But when we can give gratitude that this is happening, like synchronicity, that's when the magic happens, like the crazy.
Mhm.
Juana, I can't wait to have the conversation with how you ended up with Aerosmith, but things beyond what you could even imagine are available to us, and giving gratitude and allowing that to allow magic, look for the magic, because our brains, again, reticular activating system, that part of our brain that's looking for the patterns. If you start looking for, one of the things I'm playing with right now with my group is instant manifestation. So think of the big things and small things already that are happening faster than you can imagine. Like within the day, what have you manifested? And when your brain starts looking for those patterns, giving gratitude that they're on their way, and then celebrating, woohoo, it's happening, like that momentum starts to overcome some of the small things that we've had up until now. So gratitude.
Just
Yeah,
real quick.
I,
Okay, go ahead.
Go, Carol, please.
Go. Sorry.
I think it's really interesting because the synchronicities and the things that happen on a day-to-day basis that are the smaller things that we can be aware of, when we are open, really open, we can see those things manifesting on a day-to-day basis, and that's the magic of it. Where, you know, you could be driving down the street and somebody might have possibly just about cut you off, and you missed a collision within seconds, within a hair of a second, and you say thank you. And or something happens during the day where you're reminded of something and you say thank you. These are little synchronistic moments that we can become aware of, but we have to be open. You know, we can't be in fear. We can't, because when we are in fear, we're closed off and we can't see or feel or hear or see anything.
And we
And
disconnect from
that's
source.
where gratitude comes in.
That is so powerful, Carol. Thank you, because that fear precisely disconnects us from that infinite substance that is there to support us, because it will also manifest the fears. So we get to be so careful about what we're thinking, about what we're saying, because it wants absolute expansion for us. But if we're thinking fear, and that's what we're focusing on, that is also what it will manifest.
And you
So-
can have good intentions, but if it's rooted in fear, again, that energy is in there and can attract. You can do the same exact thing, same exact action. If it's rooted in fear, it's going to have two completely different ripple effects out into the universe, and it's going to come back to us one way or another.
Yeah. And it is really, really powerful, because one of the next steps precisely is that a person must form a very clear and definite mental image of the things that he wishes to do, to become, or to hold the mental image in his thoughts while being deeply grateful. And the supreme, then those desires are granted. But if we do have these visions of fear or of insecurity, those two either stop the creative process of the good things that we were envisioning, and will also manifest the things that we are creating unconsciously. So what Carol said is of primal importance. We need to really be very careful about what we say and what we envision and where we're coming from. When we are aligned with this truth in gratitude, knowing that we can create whatever we desire, in that truth, that's what we will manifest. In the fear, right, of the illusion of, oops, that check didn't come in, or I don't know where the money's coming from, or I don't know where the rent's coming from, or I've just lost a client. And if we go there, that's what we will manifest more of.
Yeah. Which is interesting, you know, kind of ties back to be impeccable with your word. We just did the 4 agreements. So to me, it's like being impeccable with your intention, your word, your thought, everything's aligned. But if like you're saying, some of the adverse things, you've lost a client, you've, you know, dog got run over, whatever it is, that look at what's showing up and then reverse engineer. If this is my result, what then must I be thinking? And kind of, peel away to see where underneath the surface there might be old thoughts or beliefs or collective speak that is actually of disservice to your dream, and do all you can to get fully aligned with that, so that we because when we're aligned, man, instant manifestation can happen all the time. That can be just the way.
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to go on the fear and the
Mhm.
feeling and that's the frequency. You know, I love frequencies. So when we move in that's the frequency. So I just want them to kind of get like what you were saying, Claudia, that's what you're tuning into. So
Yeah.
instead of tuning into the problem, let's tune into the solution and let that be your frequency and allow that to come in. Allow yourself to align with your own station. I call it Power 101 I am. So you start saying, I am this, I am that power statement of who you are in that moment of fear. So like I was telling the ladies, putting on presentations and stuff can be very scary for me. But I have to say, I am a speaker. I am a great speaker. Like just start talking to yourself and telling yourself who you are. And that's the station you want to kind of tune into. Because when you're tuning into, I don't have enough, I need this, I don't want this, that's what you start bringing your frequency to the more into. So definitely how you feel. How are you feeling? Because when you don't, because we don't align to how we feel sometimes. Like, yeah, I'm fearful, but I'm gonna move forward. I'm angry, I need to move forward. Like you gotta understand, like when things come up in your frequency is to show you and to guide you to that abundant state, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's with money, whatever, but paying attention to how you feel and knowing, like Carol says, that duality, like what is this here for? Is here to grow you to that next state, to that abundant state that you're asking for. So,
And it's usually happening for us, right? It's all happening for us. So it's usually a mirror just to show us where we're at. What are we holding? What is the belief? What is the fear? So that we can focus, like you said, Joanna, on the solution rather than on the problem. If we're focusing on the problem, we're going to get more of those. If we're focusing on the solution and trust and allow and keep that vision, that clear vision of the infinite possibilities we want to create, right? Then all of those, even if we don't know how the solution, just by being able to go into willingness, we shift the vibration. We've talked about this in our talking in one of our previous shows about energy and vibration and how to raise the vibration. When we're in that fear, when we're in those emotional states, just by going into willingness, we've already shifted. And if you can go into gratitude, that's the highest possible vibration that will attract what we desire.
yeah. And I just wanted to go really quick on the just keeping that vision and it being for us. Whatever the vision is that we create is for us. That's what I had to learn. It's not whether it's for us or not, it's for us. It was given to us for a reason. So the vision is always for you. It's just holding that there and being clear on it.
Yeah. And knowing
Like
you're deserving of it too. I think right when the thing comes in, one of the first things that happens is like, well, who am I to have, be on tour with? It's like all the doubt is like, oh, so what if we just recognize those voices as being the voices of the ones that want to help us, and turn down the volume of those, recognize, oh, there they are, knowing we are not those voices, and recognize that space is this is the time for us to step into that worthiness, deservingness. Like the world requires us now, it wants to elevate and evolve, and it needs us to be those voice pieces. So we all are worthy of whatever it is, and take the moment to pause and see if those voices are coming up and see. I think right at the beginning, Joanna mentioned the word self-love. It's like, love yourself back to the wholeness of knowing that, yes, I am having it. Yes, I feel, like a pea compared to this big dream right now, but we get to grow and evolve into that. We don't get what we want. We're getting what we are being at this moment in time. So allow yourself confidence, your self esteem, yourself, concept to grow and know this dream. Like you said, it's not our dream. It's our dream. It's a collective dream. So good stuff.
And I don't know if that ties a little bit, Kathy, to what Carol said before about the seed, right?
Mm.
That desire is that seed looking to manifest. It's contained. The minute you have that vision, the minute you have that desire, that is source wanting to manifest through you. You already have the answer. Otherwise, you wouldn't have the desire.
That's it. Yeah.
Do you want to speak into that a tiny bit, Carol?
I wanted to say that the more pure the intention,
Yes.
that it is absent of the fear, confusion, and the more clear the intention, the better chance it has of being fulfilled. Purity and clarity.
I like that.
And that's a
I
beautiful
like that. It's almost like expect that the self-doubt's going to come in. It's like, oh, okay, what flavor does it look like now? And then, like you're saying, get to that space of clarity before stepping, but the action is necessary.
The more detailed also, the more clear, the more detailed we have about this vision, the more likely that it will manifest as we would like. And then again, trust and allow, because the universe always answers. It might just not look like what you thought it was going to look like. So that also happens sometimes, right?
Yeah, we have to allow for things to shift and change
Right.
and not be so rigid.
Exactly.
Carol, I'd like your take on this, because it's almost like two sides. At some point in time, it helps for us to get clarity on the details of what that looks like. But sometimes the shift happens and it sounds like stop doing what you're doing right now. Something's coming. And so to me, I think there's that, it's almost like the pregnant pause. It's like, okay, if you could tell me what's next, it would be nice.
Yeah. To be open and ready for what needs to happen in any given moment. And to allow the flow and go with it, because we are sometimes being taken in different directions in order to be able to fulfill that original intention. Sometimes it's not a straight line. It's not a straight upward trajectory, right? There are zigs and zags. And sometimes when we're so rigid that we can't allow for those things to happen, then that's where the fear and the doubt and the what ifs and all these things that cause us to go off track and off the rails of the original intention.
That's powerful. And that's where the trust and the faith comes in also, where it leads me perfectly to the next point of manifesting all of this, is that Waddles says that the creative energy needs to work through the established channels of natural growth. So for example, if I think of a beautiful home that I'd like to live in, it's not going to just appear out of nowhere and for me to walk into it the next day. There's a process by which it will come to me and will manifest, and for which I need to be able to be willing to receive it as well, right? And there's a consistent, effective effort on some level as well. You get to act according to those desires. You get to act according to those visions. You get to act in a way, he says, where you are an advancing personality, where you actually offer more in service value to others than what you charge them in cash value. And that's a really powerful thing. There's two principles here that I think are really, really important to consider. One is that advancing personality. give people that feeling that you want as much growth for them, as much abundance for them as you wish for yourself, right? That advancement, whether it's through a healing or whether it's through shifting their energy, whether through a massage or whether it's through a coaching session or whether it's through a healing touch, whatever that may be, like the services that we all provide here, right? We want everybody's expansion. We want everybody who's listening to this to gain something wonderful from it. And that's that expansion that we're looking for to align for things to manifest in our lives. The other is we get to trust that it might not happen in the blink of an eye or in a week or in a month or in a year, right? Some of these big visions, it's kind of like when the chicken lays an egg, you know, if she starts pecking at it to see if it's growing in there, she's going to lose the egg. We need to trust that just by sitting on it, she's laid the egg, it will hatch. Same thing with a planted seed. So there's a word that he uses that I love, Waddles says, and whose faith does not waver.
Mhm.
And I found that to be really beautiful. I don't know about you ladies, but I've certainly had moments where I've asked the universe and thinking stuff, and then my faith wavered. And it was like, okay, it's not happening. Okay, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I can't do it. Maybe I didn't ask right. Maybe I didn't, you
I
know.
think that's it.
And that's the silly part where we stop. We're putting, you know, kind of a brake on the gas pedal, so to speak. So the other part that's really important is be mindful of what we say. This integrity with a word that we talked about in the 4 agreements. Everything that we say, every action that we do, everything that we think needs to be aligned with that vision. If you find yourself doubting, which will happen, I like to use erase, erase, erase. And literally, I'll catch myself and say, no, that is not the truth. That is the fear. And I'm willing and allowing myself to release that fear. I am aligning with the gratitude of this being manifest, of this coming to me. And declare what it was that you set your intention or desire to do, to become, or to receive. And it's a powerful step.
So I'd like to invite, the listeners to consider those times, because we've had both experiences, I like the pecker. I've been a pecker. Checking the egg a little too soon. But those times when there's been those crazy things that you knew were going to happen, even though the odds were stacked against you, all circumstances were saying that's not happening, and yet there's that inner knowing beyond a shadow of a doubt sometimes that this is happening, and it does. And again, that magic of, like, think about that for yourself. How did those things come into play that you couldn't have possibly have even planned out with your own thinking brain, and allowed somehow that belief to be enough to allow the thinking stuff of the universe to rearrange those, what are the words of Waddles stuff that
Everything aligns to be manifest for you.
yeah, through the existing channels, I think it was called. But there's more channels available. Like I just think we're trying to make it happen from our little perspective down here on planet Earth with our thinking brain that's been a little contaminated to think small. And it's like, no, the universe has limitless possibilities for me. It was the house that I live in, and all the numbers, all the evidence, all the everything was saying, no, this isn't going to happen. And there was no doubt in my mind that it could happen. And I just, found someone not even pursuing that strongly, but the mortgage broker that understood the numbers to make it the same exact money presented in a different way, made it a yes. And I got the mortgage. It was like, oh my gosh. So, everything is already there, and tap into that sense that you had when that happened for you before, and know that when you can get to that level of certainty, I like that inner knowing, like when you really know beyond a shadow of a doubt. If there's doubt, pause and examine, where's the doubt coming from? A lot of times just ask yourself, who does that belong to? It might be old patterns that we've inherited from parents who said, well, you got to work hard to make this happen. Like, consciousness is rising. We don't have to, the work hard is kind of like an old concept that we can begin to understand. It's not just us working hard. Employ the forces, the magic of the universe to that also wants this on behalf of all.
Yes, I love that. And sorry, you asked me before, what he says, his specific words are through the established channels of natural growth. That's, yeah, that allows things to align and to manifest. So we're almost at our end of time. So I want to just jump in and offer the last little piece of this to let everybody think about this and share for a minute before we talk about our next show. The last piece of this is to do every day all that you can do that day. Take care of each act in a successful manner. And what's a successful manner? Meaning putting that desire and that intention in that vision into all the little things that you do. So even if it's just walking the dog and getting the mail and reading the emails and sending a response, infuse it with that abundant, advancing aspect. Whatever you respond to, whatever you give to the world, whatever you share, come from that place of giving for your highest purpose, for everybody's highest purpose, and do it as efficiently as you can, even the little things, including the big things. When you're providing your services, when you're selling your services, bring it from the space of advancement for others and of doing everything in this as much of a successful manner as you can to tackle those things that you can each day without overworking, right? But creating that impression of increase for yourself and others. And that's the magic sauce. So to close this off a little bit, the men and women, he says, who practice the foregoing instructions will certainly get rich. And the riches they receive will be in the exact proportion to the definiteness of their vision, the fixity of their purpose, and the steadiness of their faith, and the depth of their gratitude. So with that being said, I'm so excited to have all of you out there manifest your dreams and desires.
Yeah. We'd love for you to comment below, you know, what the good, the bad, where have those sticky points been, and celebrate with us. What's coming, what magic's showing up for you now?
And Carol will be doing our next show. Carol, will you tell us what that will be all about?
Well, I have an idea, but it's not complete yet. And I'm thinking that it will be on acceptance, accepting ourselves and the fact that we all are living from our own reality tunnel.
Mhm.
So that's what I want to be talking about the next time.
Love it.
Living through our own reality tunnel and making that as real as possible, and accepting ourselves where we are and others where they are.
Juicy.
Another deep one.
Beautiful. So that will be October 1st, correct?
Yes,
Beautiful.
October 1st.
We look forward to it, Carol. It's going to be fabulous as always with all the topics that you lead and that you bring up. And we look forward to seeing all of you. Love and light.
Yeah, awesome.
Have a good
Good
night,
topic.
everyone.